Hello everyone, today I bring you a really fun deck list. Ryzeal Time Thief Control is my brand new creation and I've been having a blast with this deck because it's just Time Thief Control with the new Ryzeal engine, and this deck is honestly the best it's ever been and there are so many cool lines you can go for. Let's go over the deck list and explain how it works. First of all, for the Time Thief cards, we're playing Placer of Winder with the Placer of Adjuster being the two best extenders you can use. Now we're not playing Regulator, even though that's the risky rabbit of the deck, simply because we're gonna be summoning Ice Ryzeal the majority of times and we have plenty of ways to search it as well, so there's really no point playing the Regulator. We're also playing Basilship, which is an easy extender or a way to disturb the opponent's graveyard, which we can get access to pretty quickly. We also play the one Hack, which is a nice continuous spell that protects our monsters. The majority of times we're gonna use it to just attach it onto the Redoer, but if we end up drawing it, this card essentially protects our Exceed monsters the turn they are summoned from being targeted or destroyed by card effects, so that essentially gives us uninterrupted comboing for the most part. We also have one Flyback, which we're gonna be attaching to the Redoer using the Perpetual effect, and the final card is the Retrogate, which is just gonna allow us to have an Omni Negate counter trap on the field, which is by far the best form of negation for Time Thieves. That being said, let's move on to the Ryzeal portion of the deck. We have Placer of Sword, Placer of Ice, 2 copies of X with the 1 Node and the 1 Star, which are all very good, and we're also playing the 1 Ryzeal Cross Field spell with the 1 Plug and Quick Play, which can give us extra draw, extra extenders, you name it, but we're not playing the trap card because I don't think we need it. Now for the consistency here, we have some great cards we can use. First of all, we have 7 Takian, which is normal, with the Bonfire as well. These are just regular cards that are good for Ryzeal. But on top of that, we also have the Placer of Small World, because any Time Thief level 4 going through Sword or the Node can get us to any of the light pyros, being the Ice or X. And there are just so many great opportunities for Small World to come up. And for the rest of the deck, we have Maxi, Ash, Coldbite, Crossout, and Imperm, just standard cards we can use. Now, I did also try to incorporate Protos into the build, however, it wasn't very successful because the only way we're triggering Nemesis Flag is by using something like Redoer and just banishing it with its own effect, but then we lose it and it's just a little weird and there's really no reason for us to go down that path. So I decided to just include the Banshee and use it for consistency and nothing else. Now for the extra deck, we're also playing double Redoer with the 1 Perpetua, although you need 1 Redoer only. The thing is, without Eclipse Twins, we just have no better target. Maybe you can include Execution Knight if you find it useful, but I just chose to go with Redoer because sometimes it comes up. For the rest, we're playing 1 Ouroboros with 1 Masquerade, Castell, Tornado Dragon, Baguska, Dugares, and also Banshee, as I said, with the double Dual Drive and double Detonator, of course, and the 1 Aggregator, which can be a nice negation, but the majority of times we're kind of just dodging a bunch of interruptions with it. But yeah, that is it for the deck list. I'm very excited to show you what this Time Thief Control deck can do, and honestly, that's the best version I've ever created, so let's just get into the gameplay. Alright, so before we get into the live games, I'd like to show you guys some of the combos you can go through, and I'm not gonna show you the usual Ryzeal combos because you already know those. I'm more so gonna show you what one Winder in the hand can end up doing for you, or like an Adjuster or something like that. In that case, we're gonna use Winder because it's the best one overall. So as you can see here, we don't have a great starter, but Small World can end up being super important because we can get rid of the Max C and target the Sword, and that will give us a search for pretty much anything we need in our deck. Of course, the best card is gonna be Ice, so we're gonna grab that, but there are other things you can do if you wanna go down that path, right? So now we're gonna go with the Ice, which is overall the best starter, and we're gonna be special summoning from the deck the Sword. Now the cool thing is we can use Sword and get the search, and since we already have Star, the only target is gonna be the X, of course, because it's gonna give us extra place. Now the second important thing to keep in mind is playing around Nibiru, and there are a couple of things you can do to kind of mitigate the amount of losses. So now we're gonna go into the Dual Drive for our next play, which is very important to get extra searches, and this is gonna be the 3rd summon, right? So they still can Nibiru us, and now we're gonna use that here. And now the 2 best cards for you to grab in case they do Nibiru us would be, first of all, Star, but since we already have it, we're gonna grab something else. But also the second one is gonna be the plugin using the effect of the Dual Drive, because it's good to get them early in case they do end up interrupting us, right? Now since we have the Star already, we can go for either Sword or Node. I'm gonna go for Sword, and I'm gonna show you what Node can do later in the combo. So let me just special summon Sword to the field here, and now for my 5th summon, I'm gonna go for the X by sending to the graveyard the Aggregator. Now here we can summon the X, and then we can use the effect Chaining 1, protect the search with Aggregator Chaining 2, and target anything we want. We're just gonna go for a Sword here, and this is the point they can also choose to Nibiru us. If so, it's not that big of a deal, and I'm gonna explain what you can do. And with the search, you're gonna be able to go for Node, which is very important. So there are 2 things you can do in case you get Nibiru. First of all, you activate the plugin and you go for Dual Drive, then you attach a material and you detach it using the Star. This way you summon the Star and you get the search for the field spell, which is gonna be plenty of cards to work with. And the second thing you can do is go for Node, because you can special summon it and then you can discard the card to bring back a Ryzeal monster from the graveyard, which is already good enough to go for an Xyz play again. But let's just pretend like they don't Nibiru Virus and continue as usual. So we're gonna be using two of our monsters here to go for Redoer. Make sure to do that whenever you have the Winder in the can, because there's gonna be an important thing you can do with it. First of all, we're gonna space summon the Winder by detaching a material from Redoer, and we're gonna be grabbing a copy of Retrogate, which is the Omni Negate trap card we can use to stop anything we want. Now the second thing we're gonna do is detach the other material to special summon Star, so that we don't have to detach from the detonator later on, which is a nice small bonus. And we're gonna set the final card we can, which is the Cross, and then we're gonna use the Cross, even though we can use it later on if we want as well. And from here we are good to go for more Exceeds plays. Now the first one I'm gonna go for is gonna be a Pinguilica usually, because we can use Pinguilica here and get an extra material onto the Redoer. So let me just activate the effect and show you guys. Now usually if you have your hack in the deck, you can get the hack and then you can use Redoer's effect to go +1. Now since we can't do anything about it, we're instead gonna go for the Basil ship, because there's a very cool line we can go for. And now we're gonna activate the Redoer here and banish it, since we do have Basil ship on it. And after that we're gonna be able to use the Basil ship and detach a material from the Pinguilica to bring it back onto the field, which will give us an extra extender, which is still pretty great, right? Now from here we're also gonna be able to activate the Notes' effect and special summon, so we're gonna do that. And if you need the extra body, you can use the second effect of it as well. So let's just pretend like we go -1 to use it, even though we don't necessarily need to do that, just so I can show you the small difference you can make when you do that. So we're gonna bring back anything we'd like. I'm just gonna go for like an X here because it's just a good card in general. And then we're gonna summon Detonator using them. Alright, that's gonna be pretty great. By the way, this has an amazing animation. And now we're gonna use the Detonator and attach a material onto it. We're gonna go for Aggregator because it's not a bad target. And now also we're gonna be going for the Ryzeal Cross to go +1. So we're gonna shuffle back 2 Ryzeals. It doesn't matter which ones they are. We're just gonna go for whatever we have. And then let's see what we get. Maybe we're gonna get an extra extender like we got with Ice Ryzeal, or we can get an extra hand trap. Now here, because we have an extra extender, we can also special summon it and go for an extra Xyz 4, but we're not gonna do that since it's a little too crazy. Instead, what we can do is we can activate the plugin to get the extra extender regardless, and we can use it to continue extending our plays. So we're gonna target the Ryzeal here and special summon it, and we can also get a material onto our monsters. So we're gonna go with like an Ice and equip it onto the Detonator, so we get +1 materials. And finally we can go for an extra Xyz play. Maybe you can summon like a Tornado Dragon, maybe you can go for like a Dugares or Flame Banshee, whatever you want. Let's see what we're gonna get off the top of our deck. And also a cool thing to keep in mind as well is that if you really wanna have that Basil ship, you can use the effect of Dugares and just special summon it, right? It's not the end of the world if you do so, but let's see what we top deck, because we might get something good, and we did get an extra Ash, which is kind of nice. So now we're gonna set the Retrogate. Past turn, on the end phase, we're gonna return the Redoer, and now it's really important here to do some things right. First of all, we're gonna activate Perpetua immediately. Not that it matters when you use it, but it's a good idea to activate it as soon as you can, and get a trap card onto the Redoer. This way, we can use the removal effect of Redoer, which is gonna be the trap card effect. Place one face-up card your opponent controls on top of the deck, which is kind of nice. And now we're also gonna change the effect of Redoer, which is a nice bonus. And also we're gonna use the effect of Pinguilica, the effect of a Perpetua, pardon me, to get an additional card as well here. And yeah, we can go for Basil ship as well and bring it back this way. By the way, I forgot to even mention that you can bring back Basil ship this way too, so yeah, you don't need to bring it back before that. And in total, what you have is first of all Retrogate for Omni Negate counter trap, and you can also attach like a spell card onto the Redoer maybe, which will go +1. Redoer is gonna be a removal. You're also gonna have Basil ship for the nice extra interruption there. You're gonna have a Detonator for 4 materials you can work with, Diffuse spell for an additional negate, whatever you end up top decking as well. And maybe if you don't have Dugares but something else like a Tornado, you get an extra interruption there. So that's why I think this deck is absolutely insane and I love it. Alright, that is a pretty great hand. I'm gonna start maybe with the Ice because I feel like this is the best idea and not going for 7 Tachyon. If we get negated, then we can pivot into a different line, and we're gonna get negated with Imperm. Now, usually I would go cross out, but I'm very hesitant whether I need to do it, since if he uses something else and I don't have a way to stop it, it might be horrible. So I'm gonna risk it and not use cross out. Let's see if it's worth it. We're gonna go 7 Tachyon now, and we're gonna review, of course, the Masquerade, which will give us a nice little search for anything we need. And I feel like X is gonna be just the best target to grab since we already used the Ice Ryzeal. It doesn't seem like they have Ash, but it's still worth keeping the cross out, even though I can get rid of it. I'm just gonna return the node because later we can search it as well. Let's summon the X by pitching the Aggregator. We're gonna go chaining 1 X, chaining 2 Aggregator, just in case they do have the Ash Blossom and they're just being really smart. Actually, what? Oh my god, I'm so stupid. No, bro, I forgot he negated my Ice and I can't target it. And that's even more embarrassing because he chose to negate it himself. Alright, that's just stupid. Oh, anyways, it would have been a similar case, so regardless, let's just move on. That was just disgustingly bad. I'm still gonna summon Duel Drive because it can search me a bunch of cards, and dude, that was just hilarious. Okay, what a way to start the day. We're gonna detach X as well as the ice here, of course, and we're gonna be grabbing a sword and maybe a note or a star. Maybe grabbing a plugin is also a great idea. Let's just try it out this way. I'm gonna go with the plugin now. This will help us get a material onto our guy and also bring back a monster, but the cool thing is we can use the sword, get the search, and go for star. This can be pretty great because we're getting an extra extender as well as an extra surge off of just one plugin's effect, while the other scenario would have been just a random extender, right? So let me just use the star here, and I'm gonna be setting a feud spell, which is gonna be very nice. This means he can no longer stop us from comboing off. So we're gonna now XC summon, and I do want to go into detonator pretty early throughout the combos, but I'm trying to think if I can get access to any time thief place, right? Because that's kind of a cool idea about it. I don't think there's a way though, so I'm just gonna go for detonator using these two, and yeah, I'm just gonna get some plays going. All right, we're gonna summon it using two. I maybe should have used even a third one, but honestly, I don't think it matters as much. Let's just get the aggregator attached to this because it's a good idea. And now I'm gonna be activating the cross here. Please give me a good extender to work with. There's plenty of extenders we can get, right? So there might be a small chance, but he ended up scooping the game regardless. Okay, that was just hilarious. Yeah, maybe I should have went for something like a Dugares or maybe a Banshee and then go for the detonator just to do more things. But yeah, I mean, regardless, we just won the game. So okay, that is one of the few hands I've actually experienced being super bad, but we do have one card to work with, so hopefully if X doesn't get negated, it's still gonna be full combo. Alright, that's an Ash Blossom. We do have Cold Buy for it, so I'm not scared about it. Hopefully he doesn't have like an Imperm or Effect Veiler as well. Usually we have plenty of extenders, but this is one of the worst hands I've ever seen with this deck. Okay, yeah, sure. Maxi. Bro, this is the average experience when I start playing the game. Well, let's just grab a sword, I guess. And the cool thing is we can also normal summon it, so that might be decent. I guess I'm gonna normal summon it so I can mitigate the amount of draws I give him, and that will be a pretty nice way to get a search. So the thing is, I can get Ice Ryzeal here, so that's still great, but I'm not sure I actually need it. I'm actually gonna grab the Star Ryzeal with the hopes to maybe figure something out in the process. So let's go detonator straight up. I know this is a very weird line, but I think it will work, because it will only give him 2 draws and it will give me a pretty decent setup overall. Now I'm gonna be going for the Star Ryzeal, detach a material from it. I'm gonna detach the Duel Drive again maybe, and I'm just gonna get the Star Ryzeal on the field. This will be a search. I'm gonna grab a spell or trap, and it will be either the field spell or the plugin. I'm not sure which one would be better. Plugin might be interesting to get an extra material, but I don't know, dude. I'm not really sure. I think that cross might be better straight up for the negation of it, and yeah, we can just straight up pass turn. Of course we can go for a lot more than that, but this will be double Imperm, Maxi with detonator, and the cross, which can negate an additional time and a pop from detonator, right? So overall that seems incredibly strong. Not to mention he just used full walls and I'm not gonna play into it, so that's even cooler. So yeah, let me just use the Maxi in the draw phase immediately, and hopefully it resolves. At the end of the day, I still set up plenty of things, and he has 5 cards, and he's gonna negate my Maxi with Cold Buy, of course. No problem. Very cool experience playing Yu-Gi-Oh so far. Sang Engine from the hand, that isn't that big of a deal. I'm not gonna negate it. There's no point doing that. I'm more so just gonna pop it with my detonator as soon as he uses the effect of it. Alright, let's just do that. Should be a great start. So Goat Sarcophagus will banish a Malice Dormouse, which is, yeah, I mean, kind of expected. Now I don't need to do anything about that. I could negate it, but that's kind of risky. I don't know, dude. If I negate it, the cool thing is he will have to rely on what he has in the opening hand, which isn't terrible considering the fact I also have 2 other Imperms, and yes, he will have the field spell as an extender as well, of course, but yeah, maybe the 2 Imperms are gonna do it. So 1 Imperm is definitely gonna go against White Rabbit because that will give him plenty of enablers, and yeah, the second one will probably go for his potential normal summon. Okay, yeah, he scooped the game pretty great. All right, we're going second. We have Maxi and Ash Blossom, which I very much like, and even the hand is not that bad. Small Road with Sword is pretty decent. Activating the Fissure. Oh, come on, that is gonna be some sort of a floodgate deck here, maybe Kashiras or something. Upstart Goblin. Okay, I'm not gonna negate any of those. Special Summoning the Unicorn. Yep, as expected, he's gonna use the effect. Honestly, I do wanna Ash it, but I don't want to give him the ability to look at my deck, so I'm gonna just restrain myself from doing so. And also he has the Theosis. Now that one I'm gonna Ash because I just want to stop him from getting more plays. I have 2 detonator and 2 drive, so that means he can't really interrupt me in any significant way. Even 2 redoers, so all of my best cards are at 2. He got rid of a Tornado Dragon. Okay, yeah, actually that makes sense because I can get rid of the Floodgate. It's still not that big of a deal. So we're gonna start by normal summoning the Ice here. We're gonna be, oh, that will be probably Solemn Judgment. He doesn't use the Solemn Judgment though? Interesting. Well, let me grab myself a sword regardless. Even though I already have it, it's still worth getting it because he might use something on it and it's still a good extender at the end of the day. So he banishes my Ouroboros, which can be a little annoying against him, I do agree. So we can get either X or Star. Honestly, Star might be slightly better just because it gives us a spell card as well, and I do want to get that fairly early. So let me just go and summon a rank 4. I'm gonna go for Duel Drive here as my very first play. If he stops that, that's completely fine. We already have the plugin. We also have plenty of extenders. There's nothing he can do about it. Alright, yeah, that's gonna be the Solemn. I expected that. That's not that big of a deal at all. And it's gonna get banished, but it's fine. The materials do go into the graveyard, so that's great. Now, I'm gonna be special summoning the sword to the field for free, and I'm also gonna be able to special summon the ice for free. So let me go plugin instead. Even though I don't get the effect of it to attach something to an Xyz monster, I think it might be worth it for what it provides. So with Detonator on the field, I can detach and special summon the Star Ryzeal, which will get us a spell or trap card, and that will of course give us the cross. So I'm gonna use cross immediately because it's just a good card in general. And finally, I would like to go for maybe Small World, and he just cooked. Okay. We would have broken the field. Regardless, I can just proceed to the battle phase, smack him, and win the game. So yeah, not even floodgates work against this deck.